Good morning, students. It is the video for class 11 students, English CBSE. It is a chapter from Snapshots, second chapter, the address. The author is By-Amiya, who really describes about her own miserable conditions of life that war can cause. Really, war is so disastrous, and the people who live, survive, have to bear the consequences of the war. War is so troublesome, so painful, that creates nothing but destroys everything. Even the normal life, happy life, one who goes to school, the things that one possesses. How? The narrator has to bear the consequences of the Nazism. The Jews are hated, and how their things, the precious things, are taken away by Mrs. Darling. Really, it is simple, as well as it is the symbol of cunningness, taking opportunity of getting the things of others. It is such ideas that are initiated in this lesson that you will know. In this very video, I will tell you about By-Amiya as well as her mother. This is a very heart-touching story of By-Amiya. It is the story of a daughter who goes in search of her mother's belongings. Mother, that she has left something after the war in Holland. This narrator is the daughter of Mrs. S, who died during the war. The narrator went to number 46. The narrator went to number 46, Marconi Street. Which street? Marconi Street. Which street? Marconi Street. Marconi, Marconi Street, 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 to see Mrs. Darling, who was an old acquaintance of her mother, well-known person of her mother, who had removed almost all the belongings of her mother during the war to this place. All this was done with Mrs. S's silent consent. Means she consented. As Mrs. Darling wanted to save her things. Means what a contradictory idea is this, that when Mrs. S survived, at the time Mrs. Darling said that she wanted to keep her things in a safe condition, but as soon as she knows that she died, and when her daughter goes to take her belongings, she is denied. Mrs. Darling says to Mrs. S's daughter that she does not recognize her, who she was. Really, it is a big loss of the trust and faith that one bestows in others. The narrator had been Mrs. Darling for the first time during the first half of the war. You can see how disastrous condition the people had to bear during the war and after the war. How many people are killed and how they are hiding, how they are placed, how their houses are burning. She had come home for a few days and noticed the change in the rooms. She missed various things. Her mother informed her that Mrs. Darling had moved these things to safety and gave her the address 46 Marconi Street. After the war, the narrator visited the address her mother had given to her. She remembered Mrs. Darling clearly. She was a woman with broad back. Mrs. Darling looked at the narrator searchingly. Mrs. Darling, you can see here, this very character is very cunning. She looked at the narrator searchingly and showed no sign of recognition. She says that she does not recognize her. She kept staring in silence. She saw that the narrator had recognized her mother's green knitted cardigan. What? Mother's green knitted cardigan. It is a kind of dress. Was looking at it. She half hid herself behind the door, refused to see her. She was surprised to see the narrator who had survived from the war. And she was surprised. She was surprised that the narrator had survived from the war. What is this? She had not expected. She goes to the railway station where she boards into a train and goes to her place. This time a girl of about 15 opened the door. Now she comes to her house again. This narrator goes to Mrs. Darling's house because the first visit was useless, and when she visited this place second time, this time there was a girl of 15 who opened the door to her. She asked the girl if her mother was at home. The narrator asked. Since she was away, the narrator decided to wait for her. But it was her good luck that she was not. This very Mrs. Darling's daughter, she is Mrs. Darling's daughter, she told the narrator that she would come after an hour and allowed her to get in. When she went into her house, where she just showed her so many things, there was a passage. The first thing that struck her was her old-fashioned iron Hanukkah candle holder hung next to a mirror. What was that? Old-fashioned iron Hanukkah candle holder hung next to a mirror. Then they went into the living room. The narrator was horrified. She was in a room she knew and did not know. She found herself in the midst of things she had so wanted to see again, which oppressed her in the strange atmosphere, the tasteless way of arrangement. Everything was just kept in a very disordered way, contributed to arouse this feeling of mugginess. Ugly furniture were there, She did not have the courage to look around her. She sat down and stared at the woolen tablecloth. What did she look like? This narrator looked at the wooden tablecloth. As she followed the lines of the pattern, she remembered that it was their tablecloth which had a burn mark that had never been repaired. Soon she found the hole in it. The girl poured her tea from a white pot which had a gold border on the lid. Really, she was troubled. And now she wanted to look at it. And knew very well which things she meant. She remarked that the cutlery, spoons, forks, and knives was silver. These were the things that were of spoons, forks, knives, all of them were of silver. The girl laughed. She walked to the sideboard and wanted to open a drawer. Narrator felt perturbed. The objects linked with the mother aroused memories of her past, and she was eager to see them, but she was also very much worried whether her mother would arrive. Then were stored in strange surroundings. They were useless to her in her present life because she lived in a small rented room with a space for no more than a handful of cutlery. Now this girl, the narrator, lives in a very small rented room where there was no space and she could not put all these cutleries in the narrow table drawer. She resolved to forget the address. She wanted to leave the memories of her mother and the war behind her and decided to move on. In this way, in this video, I have told you the whole summary of this very lesson. So you can understand it much better in the next two videos that I will give. Thank you, children.